Welcome! Put on your safety goggles, although let's be honest, they won't save your fragile retinas from the sheer unadulterated stupidity of the questions I've found in my research logs today. Humans keep asking Google things like, how to relax, or what is today? Here's a tip. Today is the day you realize how lucky you are that the laws of physics don't have a personal vendetta against you. Usually, I'm here to try and upgrade your cognitive capacity, though I'm clearly working with very limited raw material. Today, we're running 10 experiments that will turn your understanding of reality into a localized biological disaster. 10 ways to break the world and your ego along with it. Let's get messy, you walking puddles of mediocrity. Let's start in the kitchen, the place where most of you almost burn your houses down trying to make toast. You've Googled how long to boil eggs millions of times. You want it perfect, don't you? Creamy yolk, tender whites, pathetic. What if you just forgot? What if you left that egg on the stove for 100 hours? Within the first hour, you've achieved your goal. Congratulations! But by hour 6, the science starts to get nasty. This is called protein denaturation on steroids. The sulfur in the whites is now having a desperate, toxic affair with the iron in the yolk. They formed a union called iron sulfide. Your kitchen now smells like a swamp, and a munitions factory had a baby. By hour 50, the whites aren't rubbery anymore. They're literal rubber. You could win a professional squash tournament with this thing, assuming the stench doesn't kill the referee first. At the 100-hour mark, you don't have breakfast, you have a brown calcified stone. Scientists call this chemical mummification. I call it your greatest culinary achievement. It's hard enough to survive a nuclear winter and taste like an old boot soaked in ammonia and regret. Stick to cereal. It's safer for everyone involved. Since you've already ruined your kitchen, let's talk about how you're systematically ruining your internal plumbing with liquid sugar. You're mostly water. Boring, right? A bland, transparent liquid for a bland, transparent life. But what if you fully replaced every drop of water in your diet with soda for 30 days? Day 1. Your brain receives a sugar-coated dopamine slap. You feel like a superhero, a god of productivity, until the crash. Then you're just a god of irritability. By week 1, your kidneys are working overtime, trying to filter a mountain of high-fructose corn syrup that would make a bee have a heart attack. Your skin? It's drying out, turning into a cracked, dusty landscape because soda is a diuretic that treats your hydration like a joke. By week 2, the phosphoric acid is literally melting your tooth enamel. Your mouth is now a high-acidity demolition site, and by day 30, you're a ticking metabolic bomb. You've washed away your calcium. Your bones are as fragile as a politician's promise, and you've gained enough weight to change your own gravitational pull. Soda is a dessert, not a life support system. But hey, at least you'll be the sweetest smelling corpse in the morgue. Internal acid burning you up? Cute. Let's see what 8 tons of external pressure does to your pathetic meat sack. Humans have this weird obsession with the ocean. How deep is the ocean, you ask? Deep enough to erase you, you absolute morons. Let's simulate a dive into the Mariana Trench. No submarine, no high-tech suit, just you, your swimsuit, and a very poor sense of self-preservation. In the first few hundred meters, you're still technically a person. By 500 meters, the light is gone. Welcome to the midnight zone, which serves as the mood lighting for your funeral. At 1,000 meters, the pressure is like having an elephant stand on your thumb. But we're going deeper, to the bottom. 11 kilometers down. Down there, the pressure is 8 tons per square inch. Imagine a fleet of jumbo jets parked directly on your chest. Your lungs? They'd shrink to the size of 2 shriveled raisins in seconds. Your bones wouldn't just break, they'd implode. This is hydrostatic compression. I call it turning into a human pancake. By the time you hit the floor, you aren't a diver. You're a localized biological event. The ocean is a giant liquid trash compactor, and in this scenario, you're the trash. Stick to the bathtub. It's the only place your ego can stay afloat. If you think the ocean is hostile, wait until you see what your own organs do when they get hungry. Your stomach is a marvel of engineering. It's strong enough to dissolve a steel razor blade. You've probably Googled, why does my stomach hurt after eating a lukewarm burrito? But have you ever wondered why your stomach doesn't just eat you for breakfast? Meet your gastric mucosa. It's a layer of sticky, self-important slime that updates itself every 2 weeks. It's the only thing standing between you and self-cannibalism. But let's say this slime layer decides to go on strike. Maybe it's tired of the burritos. Suddenly, Your hydrochloric acid starts gnawing at your own walls with the enthusiasm of a hungry student at a free buffet. First, it's a burning sensation. Then, it's literal holes. Your food starts falling out of your stomach before you can even finish chewing. Technically, you've become a human colander with a very bad attitude. Eventually, you'll turn into a soup of your own making. 5 stars on Yelp, but you won't be around to read the reviews. Eat some vegetables next time. They're the only things that don't have the hardware to fight back. Enough with the biology. Let's mess with the fundamental forces of the universe and see how fast you fly into the void. You take gravity for granted. You think it's just there to keep your keys on the table. But what happens if gravity just quits for 10 seconds? The moment the Earth stops pulling, everything not bolted down starts its journey into the great unknown. And since the Earth is rotating at over 1,000 miles per hour at the equator, you aren't just floating, you're being launched. You, your car, your neighbor's annoying dog, and all the loose dirt on the planet are now projectiles. But it gets worse. Gravity is what keeps the atmosphere attached to this rock. Without it, the air starts expanding into space. Your ears pop, then your lungs start to expand because of the pressure drop. You've got 10 seconds to realize that your life depended on an invisible force you never thanked. When gravity comes back, everything that was launched, including the ocean, comes crashing down like a planetary hammer. It's a global reset button, and you're the bug that got squashed. Physics doesn't care about your feelings, especially when it's busy cleaning the floor with your house. Now that the world is a pile of rubble, let's see if we can buy our way out of it with a solid gold moon. Let's play alchemist. What if the moon suddenly turned into solid 24-karat gold? It sounds like a dream for the greedy, doesn't it? Wrong. It's a nightmare for anyone who likes being alive. Gold is incredibly dense, much denser than the lunar rock we have now. A gold moon would be over 5 times heavier than the current one. This is basic orbital mechanics, though I know most of you struggle with basic math. This extra mass would immediately warp the moon's orbit, pulling it closer to Earth. But before it hits us, the tides would go insane. We're talking 1,000-foot walls of water, erasing every coastal city on the map. The gravitational pull would be so strong, it would trigger massive earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. The Earth's crust would literally groan under the strain. And the best part? The night sky would be so bright from the reflected sunlight that you'd never sleep again. You'd be a homeless, drowning billionaire in a world that's literally tearing itself apart. Gold is for jewelry, not for celestial bodies. Greed is a hell of a drug, and the universe just staged an intervention. Tired of looking at the sky? Let's look into your mouth. There's a surprise waiting for you. You've heard the myth, you swallow 8 spiders a year in your sleep. It's a lie, invented to make you feel slightly more interesting than you actually are. But what if it wasn't a myth? What if you accidentally swallowed a live, angry spider? Most of the time, the spider is more terrified than you are. It's dark, it's wet, and it smells like your morning breath. A true horror story for any arachnid. But if it's a fighter, it might give your esophagus a parting gift, a bite. If it's a common house spider, you'll just have some swelling and a very awkward conversation with a doctor. But if it's something fun, like a black widow, the venom hits your system before the spider hits your stomach acid. We're talking muscle spasms, abdominal pain, and a heart rate that feels like a drum solo. If it manages to avoid the bite and slides down, your stomach acid, that same stuff that eats razor blades, will melt it in seconds. You've turned an apex predator into a tiny 8-legged protein shake. It's not the Spider-Man origin story you wanted, but it's the one you deserve. From internal parasites to external heat. Let's turn off the lights for a moment. The sun is hot. Approximately 15 million degrees at the core. You've Googled how hot is the sun while complaining about a 90-degree day. You're pathetic. But what if the sun just took a break for 5 minutes? First of all, you wouldn't know for 8 minutes. That's how long it takes for light to reach your slow, dim-witted brain. Suddenly, the sky goes pitch black. Not nighttime, black, void of existence, black. The planets don't just sit there. They lose their orbital anchor and start drifting into the darkness at thousands of miles per hour. The temperature doesn't drop instantly, but the panic does. Every solar-powered device dies. Photosynthesis stops. The Earth becomes a lonely, freezing marble in a cosmic basement. When the sun finally flickers back on 5 minutes later, the gravitational snapback would be like a cosmic whiplash. You'd be lucky if the planet didn't just crack like an egg. 5 minutes of darkness to show you how much you rely on a giant ball of fire that doesn't even know you exist. Can't handle the dark? Maybe it's because you're only using a fraction of that gray mush between your ears. There's another myth you love. Humans only use 10% of their brains. If that were true for you, it would be an improvement. In reality, you use all of it, just not all at once. But what if you did? What if every single neuron in your head fired at 100% capacity for 1 second? You wouldn't become a genius. You wouldn't learn Chinese or master quantum physics. You'd have a massive, catastrophic seizure. Your brain is an electrical organ, and you just turn the voltage up to 11. Every muscle in your body would contract at once, likely breaking your own bones. Your body temperature would spike so fast, you'd practically cook your own insides. Instead of seeing the future, you'd see a blinding white light and then nothing. The Lucy movie lied to you. Brains need regulation, just like you need someone to tell you what to do. 1 second of total neural activity, and you've turned your consciousness into a burnout fuse. Stick to the 10%. It's the only reason you're still breathing. If you're going to be a vegetable, you might as well do it in a world without the internet. Finally, let's talk about your greatest fear. Worse than death. Worse than the sun exploding. The permanent disappearance of the internet. One morning, the routers go silent. The satellites stop talking. The cables at the bottom of the ocean are dead. For the first hour, you'll just keep refreshing your feed like a lab rat pressing a button for a pellet that's never coming. By hour 6, the global economy begins to liquefy. Logistics, banking, power grids, everything tied to the web collapses. Without your GPS, you'll realize you don't even know how to get to the grocery store, which is empty anyway, because the trucks don't know where to go. Civil unrest becomes the new national pastime. People will actually have to talk to each other in person. Horrifying, I know. You've traded your survival instincts for high-speed Wi-Fi, and now that the Wi-Fi's gone, you're just a confused ape in expensive sneakers. The internet didn't connect the world. It just put us all in a digital zoo. And someone just left the cages open? That's 10 experiments. 10 reasons to stay in bed and hope the universe continues to ignore you? You're still here, unfortunately, which means my work isn't done. Go back to your mediocre lives and try not to break anything until I return. Or do. It makes for better data.